Good evening, everybody. No, you're okay. I see folks are coming in, so feel free to get comfortable. All right, so welcome to the People's Forum. Who's here for the first time? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So for those of you who are unaware of who we are and what we do, the People's Forum is a movement and activist hub here in New York City. We're a space for organizers who need to meet, to think, to create, to plan, but ultimately to build solidarity across New York City with organizers and organizations who are fighting for a better world. And so we are a home for political education. We just launched our Let Them Tremble, Power, Crisis, and in the Working Class, looking at labor history in the United States. We also offer several different art classes, lino cut, cyanotype, you name it, we do it. And we also have a movie theater, the Paul and Aslanda Robeson Cinema, where we show films that were primarily filmed and created outside of the US, but some also that were created here, because we want to make sure that people have different mediums to discuss our society and what it means for us to organize for change. But I want to now transition us into the event that we're here for tonight. Many of us have been able to witness what's happening in Gaza via our cell phones. And we've come to learn what genocide looks like miles away from where the scene is actually taking place. But we have been honored to be able to welcome people like Plestia, who has been able to document what is happening on the ground in Gaza. I mean, for over 600 days, there's been a genocide, and we now know that, what it means for people to remain firmly planted in their humanity, but to also exude a level of fortitude that allows for them to continue on every day despite what they're up against, despite the destruction of infrastructure, homes, schools, but to still find love and to still maintain those connections that honestly, keep us human. And so I feel honored to welcome you all here tonight and to indulge in this conversation. And so with that, I would like to pass the microphone over to our host.
I think I have one. Should I take that one?
Oh,
I'll use
sure.
this one.
Yeah, you can use that one.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, I'm Morgan Spector. I'm a TV actor. Can you see me? Oh, I can't hear you. She's muted.
Oh, sorry. I'm
No.
saying yes, I can see you clearly, and I can even see myself twice.
Okay. Where can you see?
Please don't post pictures of me online because it's like 1:15 a.m. You can take pictures and videos for the memory, share them with your friends, just not on social media. I don't want to see how I look like at 1 a.m.
What time is it? It's 2 a.m.?
2 a.m.
Oh, you're live muting, is that right?
What, sorry?
Okay. All right. It's going to be a mess. Hi, I'm Morgan. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, pleasure's all mine.
I'm looking towards the screen. Is that where I should be looking for you to feel like you're looking at me, or should I be looking somewhere else?
No, you can look at the people, and I can also see you. So just feel comfortable, look wherever you want.
That's the camera?
Yes, I can see you.
All right, great.
And
Hi.
I can see. Okay, everything.
So I'm curious, having never met you, like what you're doing right now, what your life is like, where you are, and what your sort of day-to-day is, just to sort of weigh in to chatting with you.
Okay, so I get asked this question a lot, even when people stop me in the street or something. They're like, what are you up to? How do you spend your time? How do you spend your days? So it's so true of you to ask this question. So right now I'm in Beirut, I'm in Lebanon, I'm studying in AUB. I got granted Shireen Abu Aql Scholarship. So I'm doing my master's in media studies, which is, oh my God, it feels like a full-time job. That's why I don't have energy today, because I had a 3 hours lecture and tomorrow I have another 3 hours lecture. So yeah, I spend my time like uni, studying, response papers, reading, assignments, and all of that. If I'm not like studying or doing anything that's related to uni, I'm working on my social media platforms, write content, film content, create content. I also work as a freelancer. I write articles. I wrote an article. I recently wrote an article with GQ magazine about Nasser brothers. I wrote an article for The Objective. I write sometimes for Guardian Australia. It really depends on my time. I recently worked on stories about Palestinian people for The National. So this is how I spend my time. And sometimes when I have like a lot of time, I read a lot of books. Then suddenly I get overstimulated with everything else, and maybe 2 months pass by without me reading. So like this is my life.
Did you say
Did
reading
you
or
say
eating?
reading or eating?
Reading.
Actually, both,
Yeah,
but
I was gonna
reading.
say. I saw also
I saw
recently that
also
you were
recently that
cast
you
in a
were
film.
cast in a
So are you gonna be acting?
Yes, I'll be acting. Everyone thinks like, "Oh my God, are you doing a career shift?" But I see the acting role that I'm doing because you guys are here. I will tell you the secret about like what the role is exactly. So I'll be a lawyer. I'll be a Palestinian lawyer. My role is basically this Palestinian lawyer who went to study abroad and came back to Jerusalem and kind of has a cultural shock, or I don't want to say a cultural shock, but in Palestine, if you want to, how do you say it in English? If you want to like, I don't know how we say it in English. If you want to go to court, like if you want to take Israelis to court, the court you're going
Sue?
to basically is Israeli court. So it's pointless. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, in the movie, I'm like, we need to take them to court, but then they're like, who are you taking to court? So it's very interesting. Like it's a very Palestinian role. I'll be a lawyer. It won't be like that different from real life, even though it's non-fiction, but it's based on stories of like Palestine. So yeah, I'll be a lawyer and an actress soon.
Exciting.
Exciting.
Yeah, it is pretty exciting to be honest because it feels like something different. And I feel like growing up in Gaza, we didn't have a lot of space to express art and creativity. So I'm glad like I'm doing that right now because I feel like either like you're acting, you're writing, you're a journalist, whatever you're doing, if you're amplifying Palestinian voices and stories, then you're getting the job done.
Mm.
Mm.
Um, well, you seem like somebody who could do with a wide range of interests, who could do a lot of different things in her life. So it's exciting to see you getting to try wear different hats, I guess. All right, I'm going to launch into my questions, such as they are. Okay. I'm curious what your friends and family in Gaza are saying about what it's like to be there now. I was looking at Noura Erekat page online, and she was talking about how the genocide has not stopped, but it has slowed. And I'm just curious what that feels like right now for your friends and family, what people are experiencing.
Unfortunately, whenever I talk to anyone from Gaza, to them it feels like the genocide has paused a bit, paused to the world, but didn't pause to them. Meaning to the world, like to the outer world. To us, it feels like, yeah, there's less news coming out of Gaza. But it's because journalists are being killed. To us, it feels like, oh, now the genocide is over, life is back to normal. But for them now, they're starting the aftermath, or they're starting to process everything that they've been living for the past 2 years, starting to process that. They're homeless, their houses got bombed, there isn't an education system, universities got bombed. So now they're dealing with all that aftermath. Like, how are we supposed to continue studying? How are we supposed to search for jobs? What are we supposed to do? So the question really is, now what? Now what will happen? And it often feels like as if the world only pays attention to Gaza when bombs are being dropped, but when bombs stop dropping, it's like the genocide is over, but it really isn't.
Yeah, that's
That's
the impression I
the
have is
impression
that,
I have.
sorry,
Sorry,
it's not even that
it's
interesting
not
the
even
first
that.
time. Okay, thanks. That's the impression I have is that, that there's a struggle now. I almost feel like the strategy on the part of Israel is to bomb slowly enough that the world stops paying attention, but not to stop. it seems like it is more important than ever for people to continue to focus on Gaza and to focus on Palestine, because it is clearly there's a strategy of distraction here, I think, an attenuated attention. All right, let's see. You describe yourself at 21 at the start of the book as being 4 Israeli aggressions old. So obviously you had experienced wars prior to 23 and assaults, but what made it clear to you in October of 23 that this was going to be different? When did you start to know that it was a genocide?
So in the book, when Al-Ma'badani or Al-Ahli hospital got bombed, I wrote that's when you realize the aggression is over and the genocide has started. But even long before that, the amount of houses or places that got bombed in Gaza and the amount of people that got displaced in Gaza early on, like from the first 3 days, and even the sounds of bombs that we've been hearing was way different. So it made you realize that what's happening right now is different to anything that we've witnessed before. Because I don't want to say we're used to listening to the sounds of bombs, but as a person who was born and raised in Gaza, I'm familiar with the sounds of bombs. I know what an F-16 hears like I know what every bomb sounds like, but this time we've been hearing sounds of bombs that are different than anything. Like even the voices are louder, the voices of bombs are louder, the scale of destruction is louder. So it felt different early on.
Yeah, you talk about in the book how it's this is sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna look at you and wait for the thumbs up. You talk about in the book that a lot of people you were speaking to thought that the bomb sounded like rain, and not what they were, and that you said, I think that the line is like, how much trauma do you have to have experienced to find that funny? Which I thought was, I don't know, there's actually a lot of humor in the book. There are a lot of moments where you're just allowing the sort of dark humor of the experience you're having to come through, and I found that I don't know, it made it more devastating somehow, actually. All right, let's see. One of the things that recurs throughout the diary is your struggle to continue finding meaning in language and in bearing witness. And I saw that during Israel's assault on Lebanon, you chose to volunteer at schools rather than be a journalist. Can you talk about why and how you came to that decision?
Sorry guys, we keep muting and unmuting to make sure there is no echo. That's why sometimes there's like just 2 seconds of silence. So when I first came to Lebanon last year, there was a war here, and I was like, do I want to report and be a journalist right now, or do I want to volunteer and connect and talk to people? And for me, it felt like with journalism, I can't change the world. And it's unrealistic to think that, oh my God, I have the power to change the world. But it felt like with being in schools, volunteering, being close to people, specifically to kids and talking to them, it feels like at least you can change how one kid sees the world, and it can, like, especially when they're witnessing war, displacement, bombs, and demolishment. If you can change how they see the world and make them believe that kindness still exists, I want that to be me. Like I want to take that role instead of always taking the role of reporting, because it feels that the world has been so woke and understanding of what's happening, and I assume everyone now knows Israel is bombing Palestine, Israel bombed Lebanon, and so on. So I felt I want to be close to the people.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Sorry. Yeah, there's. You lied to me, David. Okay. Yes, I don't. So much of I would say the Palestinian solidarity movement's role in the West, or in the States anyway, has been like bringing attention, bringing awareness. This is happening, like reposting and posting and talking about, journalistic accounts that are coming out of Gaza, and Yeah, I don't know. It strikes me that there's a point where our leaders seem to just be ignoring us. I mean, there's a certain futility. It feels like there's a certain futility to that at certain points, and I see you struggling with that in the diary. So it's interesting to feel like, I don't know, that constant give take. So yeah, it made sense to me that you decided to just go be with kids and make a direct. Try to just affect people's lives directly. I think that is another beautiful option. Okay, there is, I would say, reading the diary, like a very specific agony, because it's already by November when you close, or December, I guess, when you leave. It is already so awful. And we know from our vantage point that it goes on for another 2 years. Did you ever think at that point that it would go on as long as it has?
No, I genuinely never thought that. When we first, like when my family and I left Gaza after around 45 days, when we first left after a day or two, if I'm not mistaken, there was a ceasefire. And I started telling my mom, like, see, oh my God, I told you it will end soon. I told you it will end. Like, now there's a ceasefire. After the ceasefire, it will be over. We weren't supposed to travel. We were supposed to stay there. And like, I was having mental breakdown. But then it was about, if I'm not mistaken, like 5 days or a week of a ceasefire. Then the genocide resumed. It's like, let's pause the killing of the Palestinian people, then we will resume. And it was like that. It was a roller coaster of emotions for the past 2 years. Whenever there's a ceasefire, I'm like, oh, finally, that's it, it will be over. But then it continues. So it makes you feel and wonder, like, when will the world have enough of our Palestinian, of the Palestinian blood? And I know I keep using like the word world, but I don't mean when will the world have enough. It's more like when will specific governments have enough. So I never thought it would take that long. And the question is now what? What about the aftermath? It's not like, oh, 2 years of genocide, it's over, and now Gaza is being rebuilt. Borders are still closed. It's still not clear what the plan is, like what will happen. Can we go back? Can we enter? Will schools be rebuilt? Will houses be rebuilt? People are still living in tents. So as long as you're still living in a tent, you can't tell the people who are homeless, oh, the genocide is over. Go back home. Okay, where's home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and obviously Israel is still occupying, I think, more than half of the Strip. So this is still under current terms, this is not a peace plan. This is just an expansion of the occupation. Well, that's terrible.
That's terrible.
I don't want to look at myself.
I don't want to look at myself. Gaza is so small. I don't think anyone understands that. Like, Gaza is so small and so overpopulated. You're talking about a place that is 365 kilometers squared and around 2 million people, like before the genocide, lived there. So how are we all supposed to fit when Israel is making Gaza even smaller and smaller? It's like they're making Gaza uninhabitable.
It's hard not to conclude that was the intention, but I think that's probably something a lot of people in this room agree with. I think without journalists in Gaza, there would be no way to see the genocide as the irrefutable fact that it is. And you write in the diary about how much respect you got as a journalist in Gaza, and it seemed like you were, along with your colleagues, kind of a symbol of hope there. Why do you think Gazan journalists, Palestinian journalists have that kind of stature? Can you talk about that a little bit?
So in any normal country or normal situation, a journalist's job is just to report on what's happening. But unfortunately in Gaza, it's different. When you're a journalist in Gaza, you're risking your life, you're risking your family's life just to report on what's happening. And you're working with zero protection. You're working where international law doesn't apply to you. And you're not some foreign journalist who came to Gaza to report on what's happening. You're also a person who's trying to survive day by day and trying to report on what's happening. So, for example, there were many days where we were like the journalists and I were supposed to go to a specific place and report on this story. Then the people, they're like, no, we don't want to do interviews or film or anything, but can you help us do this, do that? Like, can you please drop us off? Can you do this? Can you do that? And we end up helping each other rather than like being journalists or professional or reporting. And if it was in a different context, you're not allowed to do that as a journalist. Like no one is allowed to get in your car that is like a press car and the press is written on it, because like being a professional and so on. But when you're in Gaza, everything is different, and there is nothing called, oh, be professional when you're being genocided and being killed. So that's why their journalism in Gaza is seen differently than any elsewhere in the world.
Sorry. Okay. How do you think right now about a future for Gaza? Because you write in the diary, even by November, about how impossible it seems for life to continue, for life to sort of come back, normal life. And now we're 2 years further. How do you think about a future for Gaza and for a free Palestine at this moment?
It's hard really to think of a future for Palestine when people right now are still homeless, are still jobless, are still hungry, starving, are still injured, and they're trapped inside of Gaza where borders aren't even open. So for the short term, I just genuinely want to see Gazans happy, living safely, living freely in like our homeland. And the freedom of movement for me is super important, like for me to be able to go back. For whoever in Gaza, or you want to travel and come back, or you can travel, you can come back. For the injured people to get the treatment that is necessary, to start like having a plan about how will Gaza be rebuilt, to have like an agreement, a clear law that states that Israel can't bomb Gaza because we can't rebuild Gaza. Then in the next 5 years, Israel will be like bombing us again, and for this to be an endless loop, really. So for a start, someone needs to hold the occupiers and the occupation accountable to make sure the genocide doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I think for my money, that would be the main thing for this sort of international solidarity movement to focus on is accountability, because I think that can be sort of our responsibility to make sure that, I don't know, Israeli and U.S. officials are held accountable for what they've done, and soldiers. All right, I just have one more question, and then we're going to open it up to the audience. My question is, the genocide began at a time in your life when a young adult is sort of just figuring themselves out. You'd been doing some journalism studies, you'd been working as a journalist a little bit, but you'd also worked like in in HR, you'd been sort of trying out different things. And I wonder what else you might have done if you hadn't found yourself in the middle of this catastrophe, and what else you think you might try in your life?
So one thing about me is I like to try a lot of different stuff, and for me, you can do a lot of stuff that goes in parallel with each other. So before the genocide started, I was a journalist. I used to take like courses and internships in Beit al-Sahafa Press House, Palestine, which also got bombed. I used to work in a marketing agency. One thing that you can't find online, I used to always tutor. But it started by coincidence. Like when I first graduated and came back, one of the neighbors like knocked to our door and came to say like, congratulations on graduating and finishing uni. Then she was like, you know what, you're so smart. Can you start teaching my son? I was like, teaching him what? She was like, I don't know, just teach him English, just teach him anything. And I was like, okay, because I was the fresh graduate, I still didn't like even search for any jobs or internships. So I did that for like a month, for a 2. Then I don't know how I ended up doing that for a year and a half. But part of it was like he became super attached. So when I was like, I need to stop because like I'm working right now, I'm doing internships. Sometimes I take like some freelancing online stuff. So I genuinely don't have time. And she's like, no, he started like studying because of you. So sometimes I'm just busy. My sister will teach him whatever. So it was something super random in my life. And it was super random to the point where I started tutoring another girl. And it kind of happened by mistake or by coincidence as well. Like her mom is friends with my mom, and she was like, I'm traveling and Lean has an exam. Can Plestia please help her study for it? I thought it would be a one-time thing. I also ended up doing that for almost less than a year, not a year. So I was like, I don't know, I was as surprised with my life as you guys are. Like, I used to do a lot of random stuff, but for me, what I really wanted to do is report on Gaza's beauty, to tell stories of the people, the stories of the places. But something stupid that, or like that I always used to think is I used to always pitch my ideas to news agency, and they used to always be like not interested because they're only interested in Gaza being bombed or like in news of demolishment, not in news of life. So that made me feel like, okay, no one is interested in this story, so I never worked on it. But then I learned that that was wrong. I was supposed to work on these stories for myself as a personal project, even if like different media channels didn't take them. So I really regret not doing that. Like, I wish I had these stories of Gaza before these people got killed and these places got demolished. So really, I was just exploring life as a fresh graduate, exploring my options, and even getting to know myself better and knowing what do I want, you know.
Well, I hope you get to do that. I hope you get to tell those stories of Gaza as a beautiful place and a living place, and not just a place of violence. Do you guys have questions?
Who is somebody that that you admire and why?
Oh, that's a very general question. Do you mean like someone who's like an author, someone in genre, or what?
Someone in your personal life.
Okay, someone in my personal life that I truly admire. I hope this answer doesn't sound cliche or anything, but it genuinely is my mom, because my mom is Palestinian. She was born and raised in Kuwait because her parents are from like Yafa and Ramla, 1948, they got displaced. So she never got to live in Palestine. She lived in Kuwait, then she studied uni in Jordan. Then she came to Gaza, and she was like working in Gaza as the head of middle school in the American International School. Like, she started having a life in Gaza, having a career, married, children. Like, she started like not figuring her life out, but like finally having a stable, balanced life, because for her, moving from Kuwait to Jordan to Gaza wasn't easy. So, like, she felt she was getting used to living in Gaza. She moved there in the year 2000. But then now there's like a genocide, house getting bombed, displacement again, and she's restarting her life in Australia. And for me, it's really hard to keep restarting your life. And I'm only, what, I'm 23, but she's older than me. She's in her 50s, yet, like, she's restarting her life. She's working now in Australia, like, constantly trying to, like, meet people, make friends, and do all of that. So it makes me wonder how sometimes we think our parents, because they're our parents, older than us, they need to have it all figured out. Then you see a TikTok video that says it's your first time for your mom living too. And it made me like pause and reflect that, oh, she's experiencing like a genocide and all of that for the first time, just like me. So she doesn't have answers. She's just like me, trying to cope in her own way. And for me, that is so sad yet inspiring in a way.
Anybody else?
Hi. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your for sharing with us what your experience was. First of all, I was wondering, for you as someone that grew up in Gaza, that was, if I calculate it right, under siege since your birth. Like, what was your? How did you perceive it growing up? What were the restrictions and limitations that you felt the most, and how did the world look like from inside of Gaza through those years?
I really like that question. So before, like, I want to talk about my childhood when, like, I never traveled yet. It felt like Gaza. You feel like you're the center of the world because it's all what you know. So you don't know that you're missing out on anything else. You think what you're living is the normal and how everyone else is living. You think that not having electricity all of the time is normal. Like the airport being bombed, so we have to travel through crossing point. It's normal. Like, yeah, every place it's like that. You think that everyone lives the same life as you, especially when you're young and not aware yet. And we didn't, like, when I was like young, I didn't have obviously a phone and social media and all the tools that Gen Z have right now. Or I'm actually Gen Z, but yeah, you get my point. Until I was traveled to Egypt, and they realized that no, places abroad, they have airports, they can travel whenever, they have electricity, and they don't need to worry about stuff like, oh, is there water in the house? There isn't water in the house. Or you can't use the elevator right now because the electricity will go out. You'll get stuck in the elevator, so just use the stairs instead. It's like, life is normal for them. They don't have to worry about all this stuff. And in Gaza, we had Zannana. It's like like a bee sound 24/7 in Gaza. But I thought that is normal. I thought that's how the rest of the world lives. When you travel, go to the rest of the world, and you realize that's not normal. That's not how the rest of the world lives. And even when I was in uni, I got the chance to study in Cyprus, northern Cyprus. So whenever it's like winter break and summer break, everyone just knows in advance that they will travel. Like, oh, I'll go back to Jordan, I'll go back to Egypt, I'll go back to whatever. Like everyone just books a plane and travel. It's that easy and simple. But then I'm like, for me, it's not. I need to go to Egypt, then from Egypt go to Gaza. But what if I go back just for 3 weeks, then the borders will close? What if I get stuck? What if I miss the semester? So I didn't take the rest of traveling when I was studying in uni. But then there was COVID, so like I was able to go back home. But that's the thing. I was like, a lot of time and energy is drained and wasted thinking about stuff, but then you realize that the rest of the world is privileged and they don't think about this stuff and they don't calculate things the same way we do. I remember something super minor, but I was once in high school and it was like, oh my God, senior year, we were having like a girls' day. So we're like, oh my God, we all need to look pretty. And my hair is curly, just like that. I was like, I want to straighten my hair today to go out. We will take pictures and so on. So I started straightening my hair, then the electricity went out. So it's like, I had half of my hair curly and half of my hair straight. I was like, and the electricity just went out. So I was like, okay, now what? I know it's something super minor and nothing compared to what's happening in Gaza. But then when you meet people who are outside of Gaza and you tell them these stories, they can't relate or understand. So it just makes you realize how Israel unfortunately succeeded by dividing us by experience even.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Plestia, for being here. I had a question about if you still journal and use your journal in different ways as a student and in your life in Lebanon.
Yes, I still journal. Sometimes I journal on daily basis. Sometimes I can go for like a couple of days not journaling, then I journal again. But yeah, I have two journals. They're actually right in front of me. One of them has the letter B. I write personal stuff I want to manifest, what I vision my next week will look like it's stuff like that, or writing about my daily life. And I have another journal that is supposed to be for uni. Like I take it with me to uni, to my classes. But sometimes I'm supposed to take notes of the class and what's going on in class. Then I find myself daydreaming and writing something that is super irrelevant to class. But the teacher looks at me like, oh, wow, bravo, Plestia has been taking notes the whole time. And I'm always like, I pray no one asks for my notes in class because it's not related to class. So yeah, I like to always have a notebook with me, or like a notebook in my bag, because a lot of ideas occur to us throughout the day, and for me it's important to write these ideas to not forget them, like especially before you sleep. We all have a lot of creative ideas about it, changing ourselves, our life, the world, opening maybe this business, writing this article. Like ما بعرف, for me I'm super creative at night. So like I need to have a notebook next to me, so whenever like any thoughts occurs to me, I just like write whatever down to not forget it the next day. So yeah, I feel like journaling is part of who I am. And actually, one funny thing about this, I want to show you something real quick. So I took a creative writing course when I was, I don't know, I think I was in grade 11 or 12. So it was 2020. And out of nowhere, the teacher, her name was Hiba, she forwarded an email to me, and the email is super old. It says May 3, 2020. So it's basically almost 6 years ago. And I wrote an article about the power of storytelling. And I really enjoyed reading it because it reminded me of a certain version of myself, and it made me feel how I am true to myself. Because like right now, storytelling is a trend on social media. Tell a story. I'll give you a course about storytelling and so on. So, but I was like in grade 11. I didn't maybe even have social media platforms or understand, but this is the thing I've always been passionate about. I'll just read two sentences. The thing about life is we all go through our own struggles. The events that happen in our lives may be similar, yet everyone's story is different. And that's why I enjoy reading as well. Either poetry or novels, it makes me feel I'm not alone and it makes me able to see the wider picture. So yeah, like I feel like I like writing, going back to my writings and seeing how I'm evolving as a person. Because sometimes I read stuff that I wrote, I'm like, no, I'm not the same person. I don't agree or I don't relate anymore. And sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, I did write that. I did feel that. So yes.
Anyone else?
Salam. What do you have in mind after your media studies or your master's? And the movie. And let's not forget about the movie.
Girl, I'm taking life one day at a time. So I'm just hoping that I don't drop out of my masters and I actually continue. So for now, let's focus on that because sometimes just like masters studying while trying to balance life with work and everything feels super overstimulating. So like maybe twice a day I call my mom like, Mom, maybe I should pause the semester. Maybe I should do this or that. So let's just focus on getting the masters done first.
Anyone else?
What is your favorite place in Gaza?
For me, my favorite place in Gaza is the sea. And the reason for that, because it's the only place that will always be there. It's the only place that can't be bombed. I used to have a cafe that I like a lot. It's called the Q Cafe. Okay, so one thing about me is like, like there's like maybe 10 restaurants or so in Gaza, obviously more, but like there's a lot of restaurants in Gaza. But if like I feel comfortable in two restaurants, I'll always go to the same two places. Like I don't like changing places a lot. So I had a favorite cafe by the sea called Q Cafe. I used to go to it almost every day. And for a week, I didn't go, like 0 days. I was busy with work and stuff, so I didn't go. So the owner texted me like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" She's like, "You haven't come for a while. I just wanted to check on you." I was like, "Yeah, all good, don't worry." And there was a restaurant and a cafe that I used to like to go to every Thursday. So I used to hang out in Gaza in two places literally, and they both got bombed. So that's why for me, the sea is the only thing that will always be there.
Anybody else?
So you talked about wanting to tell stories about people in Gaza. Can you share one that's your favorite?
That's a good question, but honestly, I don't have a favorite story because I don't know. Whenever I want to answer such a question, I feel like it's unfair. Whenever I say a story, I feel like there's a lot of stories as well. So I don't have a favorite story. But what I like about Gaza is the sense of community, the people, how close we are, like how it's normal. Like when you don't go to the same cafe, you always go to people will call and ask, like, why aren't you coming? Is everything okay? But I remember once in Palestine, when I was doing my internship. So after around 5 months, I started coming late, and I'm the type of person who's like super punctual and comes on time. So then, like, there was a girl who works there who's like responsible, not to take attendance, but like to make sure everyone here is on time and everything. She was like, "Why are you coming late? Like, is there anything going on in your life?" I'm like, "No, but I'm genuinely bored of my role. Like, I was like, I'm an intern. Like, I already learned everything. I'm doing the same thing. It's repetitive. It's becoming boring. So that's why I'm coming late." And like, I feel like if it was elsewhere in Gaza, maybe it it will seem like you're being cocky or having an attitude or like you're not being professional or like you can't say this or that. But like when I told her that, she was like, okay, what do you want? I was like, I have this and that idea I want to pitch to you. And I started pitching ideas to her. I had a meeting with like Bilal, may his soul rest in peace. I was like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And they actually gave me the space to do this and that. So it's just like the human connections and the way we communicate. Like I feel like people in Gaza are very social, you know. And I used to take internship in Press House. And when you cross the street, like right in front of it is the American International School. And whenever I have a break, like every day I have half an hour break, I used to go visit my mom and work and go to the staff room, meet the teachers. I'm like, okay, what's new? What gossip do we have today? How's everything? And so on. So it's just like really the connections and the way we communicate is something I truly miss.
Hi, you just mentioned two cafes that you often frequented. Do you have a ritual now that brings you comfort in the place that you now live?
No, it's super different because I keep moving. Like when I first left Gaza, I went to Australia for like 9 months, and I went to Lebanon. There was war. I went to Egypt for a couple of months. I went to Dubai for a couple of months because like I had events there. Then now I'm in Lebanon. Like I keep moving, so I don't have like this spot or favorite place that I'm always in. No, like I don't feel like I have that.
I think we have time for one more question.
Anybody?
I did have a question. Plestia, in your book, we get a lot of your beautiful poetry. I was wondering if you still write poetry, if it's been different or more difficult to do so, not being in Gaza, if you still feel inspired, if that's still something you're interested in doing.
Actually, oh my God, thank you so much for asking this because you just reminded me that I haven't written a poem in like forever. Like I didn't even try to write a poem in like forever, genuinely. Like the last poems I wrote were in like this version of the book and the aftermath chapter. I think there's like 2 or 3 poems that I wrote after I left Gaza. One of them was like Death Thought of Me First. The other one, it was like What is Home? So I wrote them like after I left Gaza, but that was what, 7, 8 months ago, something like that. So no, that's the thing. I feel like recently I've been super occupied with like uni work, assignments, writing articles, and I didn't have a lot of time to work on like any creative writing just for myself. So yeah, thank you for reminding me. Maybe okay, one thing about me is I'm a tea person. So right now I'm drinking a tea that says like sleep tight. It's just like a type of tea you drink before sleeping. But maybe now I would like wrap up the call and actually go and try to write a poem before sleeping.
All right. Thank you so much for being up in the middle of the night. It's been really wonderful talking to you. Thank you for the time.
Of course, and thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for everyone who showed up today. I really appreciate your time as well. And I just wish it was face to face, it was like in person, but I'm glad that, okay, judging I can't come in person, we were able to do this hybrid talk. So really thank you to everyone as well. And I can't wait for you to read the book. And for anyone who's like read the book, reading the book, or wants to read it, make sure to write feedback on Goodreads because I enjoy reading like the book reviews on Goodreads. So would love to see yours as well.
All right, well, thank you. Good night.
Have a nice rest of the day, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's a triumph of IT, I feel.
So I don't believe that she's not staring.
Yeah.